Welcome, GPP Master members. Doing this from home again today, so a little bit of an odd backdrop, just trying to find the quiet place. Hope everyone had an awesome Thanksgiving. Some great games yesterday. The Dallas Redskins game was just awesome, as was the Vikings game. As we expected, the Colts game was kind of a downer once Andrew Luck was out, which was too bad. I hope you guys watch this video. It was a good day. Placed in a bunch of tournaments, no big wins, which is kind of why we're here, to win one big one. Remember the mantra, only takes one to win. And we had a little bit of a tough time with, I'm going to adjust this a little bit. We had a little bit of a tough time getting to the top yesterday, but if you followed this video, we did pretty well and cashed. You had the Zeke Elliott, Bell as expected, 69 and 70+% owned, 69 for Elliott, 70 whatever for Bell, looking at my notes here. But they had 26 for Elliott, 27 for Bell, respectively. I had Cousins as the number one quarterback. He ended up being the chalk at 30-something%, which I did not expect, but put up 30-something points. And whether you had him with Crowder, whether you had him with Jackson or Reed at 31, obviously Reed being the best, you did pretty well. Big Ben Antonio, 52 points right there on DraftKings. I hope you had it. That was the one I said I was going to have in two of my lineups, where I had Cousins in three. Big Ben and Antonio and Le'Veon together was a great stack and paid out. And I used Asiata a lot in the punt. I hope you guys faded, like we talked about Eric Ebron, or whatever his name is, Ebron, the tight end. He had a rough day, 0 points. Might as well have been injured. Bottom line, if you had Ebron, you didn't cash. We know that. So on to this week, continuing, week 12. It's an interesting week on DraftKings because you have Elliott and Bell out of the mix, which really changes the dynamics of the running backs a lot. There's injuries. There's low over-unders. So here we go. At quarterback, there's a bunch of quarterbacks, as we always do. We go through the different quarterbacks that I will play, and I'll kind of weight them. So Joe Flacco, the over-under is 40.5, and it's supposed to be windy in that Baltimore game. He's $5,300. I don't know why, and I hate to go against Vegas, but I kind of like him, and I like him with Wallace in a stack. I just think Cincinnati is really vulnerable right now, and they have a terrible rushing defense, so the odds are, I think Vegas is thinking they're going to run the ball down their throats, but I will have one lineup with Flacco with Wallace this week. Another one, Drew Brees, at home with a 45.5 over-under. That is shockingly low to be under 50 points in the Dome. Deceptive, because you would think the Rams' passing defense sucks, but it's actually number 6 in the NFL, number 6. With that said, the Saints are number 1 passing. At home, Brandon Cooks on turf in the Dome is just absolutely unbelievably unstoppable on the big play. So this is a Brandon Cooks week for me. Brees and Cooks. Going to stay away from Michael Thomas this week and just go the Brees Cooks route. Brees at $7,100. We'll be using Brees in 2 lineups. Carson Palmer, interesting again. That game, Atlanta, Arizona, 50.5 over-under. But it brings some interesting matchups, right? The number 1 passing defense, Atlanta, or number 2 passing defense, Atlanta, versus the number 1 passing defense in Arizona. Who wins that battle? Ryan and Jones or Arizona's defense? But quietly in that game, you have the 32nd pass defense, the worst in the NFL, on the Falcons, and Carson Palmer, who has struggled, but has a lot of weapons. So I love Palmer in this game. $5,300. There's room to put some studs. And we'll come back to the stacks, but you can stack them with DJ Johnson. You can stack them with Fitz and John Brown at $4,000 as a big play threat. Everyone's going to run the J.J. Nelson, Fitz, DJ Brown. We'll come back to that. Brings me to the next game. I love both quarterbacks. Another low over-under. So again, I'm a little troubled by the over-unders this week. But the Giants at Cleveland. Josh McCown back under center due to the injury to Kessler as of now. Check back with us Sunday morning. Josh McCown means if he can stay in the game for the full game, which is a big if always with him injury-wise. But if he can finish the game, one, I like him. And I think you can put him with Barnage, who he almost always throws a touchdown to. Coleman, cheap, and Pryor. You have a lot of options in that. And then on the other side, you've got to have an Eli OBJ stack this week. You just do. Eli at 6,500, Beckham at I'll come back to him in a bit price-wise. And you could even go Eli and Shepard. But again, low over-under concerning, just something to be aware of. But I'll have one lineup with each of Eli and one with McCown, both against each other. And you can, by the way, go Eli, Beckham, Barnage in that game. Or the other way around, McCown, Coleman, OBJ, and fit them in. I kind of like Russell Wilson, Baldwin, one lineup, $6,700. Tampa, 25th pass defense. You can throw on him. Good weather. Wilson's due for a downer. So I'm a little worried that this could be that week. I forget what the over-under is in that game. I got to look that up here. Then back to the next game again. Over-under of 50.5. The second largest one. That and the Falcons is the Raiders-Panthers game. Got to like Derek Carr in this game. He's going to have to throw 40 times. Can't run on Carolina. So you're looking at Carr, Cooper, maybe even Carr, Richard, Carr, Seth Roberts. Keep an eye on Crabtree because he's questionable. If he sits, Seth Roberts becomes a punt play in that game. We'll come back to that, a receiver. And maybe you could give one go with Cam and Olson. I have a feeling Oakland's going to be really up for this game. Carolina's struggling, but Oakland is a atrocious passing defense. So, Cam could have a big day. Again, ranking those quarterbacks this week, I'm going to go Breeze, Eli, Palmer, McCown, Carr, McCown, Flacco, Cam. And then my last one. So, Tom Brady hasn't practiced in 2 days here. That doesn't mean anything. The last time he did not practice 2 days in a row was Thanksgiving week 2010, at which point he came out and had one of the best games of his career. But we got to see if he practices today. He has to practice today. Assuming he's limited or out on the field today, he's going to play. Love him against the Jets. Awful passing defense going for his 200th win. Now, if he's out by some chance, they want to save that 200th win until next week at home against the Rams. I like Jimmy G, too. I like anyone passing against that. And you can put either of them with Edelman. Keep an eye. Remember, Gronk may or may not play in this game. Bennett may or may not play in this game. Hogan may or not play in this game. So you're looking at Edelman, and then you're looking at Lewis, Dion Lewis, and White together in the backfield in this game. That's what the Pats are doing to practice this week. So play a Patriots quarterback, whichever one it is. All right, that's long. We're on the running backs. Bottom line, Jay Ajayi, because what do? We play every running back who plays San Francisco. This guy is running like an animal. He could have 180 yards in this game against San Francisco's high school rushing defense. So interestingly enough in that game, I also like Carlos Hyde on the other side. You could play both of them. You could go Hyde, Ajayi in the same game. Miami, terrible, 30th against the run. But Jay Ajayi is the play of the week. I assume it'll be the chalk. If he isn't, then you're stealing him. So that's something you want to keep an eye on. Shady McCoy, I don't like to play guys who may not finish the game. This one's a thumb injury, but we still got the hammy and the knee and everything else. Gillislee out. Backup running back is out. So keep an eye on this game. I'm going to probably fade Shady, as hard as that is to do, just because he may not finish the game. That's always a risk, and you can't afford that in a millionaire maker especially. But if he doesn't play, keep an eye on Jonathan Williams, a punt play at 3,000. Buffalo runs. They have a lot of injuries on the wide out front, and they'll be able to run against Jacksonville much better than they can pass. Jacksonville, terrible rush defense, strong pass defense. So if somehow McCoy's out of this game, and maybe even if he's not, Jonathan Williams at 3,000, worth a punt, keeping an eye on. Terrence West, $4,000 against a bottom 5 rushing defense as well in that game against Cincinnati. Again, I said I came back, I like Flacco, but maybe the over-under's low because they think they're going to run. And then other guys to look at, you got to always like Melvin Gordon and DeMarco Murray. I think they'll be highly owned. They're expensive. You can probably save some money this week with, and I like Ajayi better, and I even like Hyde better. But Gordon, always good. Murray, always good. And then I love both Patriots backs here. Dion Lewis at 3,600, James White at 4,400. They are going to play in the backfield together at certain parts of the game this week. Lewis, just too much of both of those guys. Too high a ceiling. Just too high a ceiling. They can put up 25, 30 points. Lewis could be 3 touchdowns and break one for 40 yards, passing, rushing, especially with all the injuries the Patriots have across the board. This very well may be where they focus in this game plan, especially if Gronk is out. All right, real quickly, because we're getting late here, running into time restrictions. Wide receiver stacks. Here we go. Got to pay up. Eli and Beckham. Beckham at 8,800. Amari Cooper and Carr. No ifs, ands, or buts in that game. Do it. Don't look back. 7,700. Larry Fitzgerald. 7,000 with Palmer. David Johnson at the running back position with Palmer. And John Brown at 4,000 with Palmer. Worth a lineup flyer there. My number one of the week, Brandon Cooks at 6,800 with Breeze. Again, that's the stack for me in that game this week. Pretty definitive this week for me. Beckham, Cooper, Fitz, Cooks. Edelman or White or Lewis. Maybe two of the three. Maybe Edelman and Lewis, Edelman and White. Two lineups with whoever's playing quarterback for the Patriots. Baldwin and Wilson worth a shot, as we said, 6,400. And Mike Wallace, cheaper than Steve Smith by $600. Flacco, Wallace. And then we're coming to where I said Josh McCown lands. McCown and Coleman at 4,200. McCown at Pryor. I prefer Coleman this week. Big play, can score quick. They both are big play guys. And McCown at, remember early in the season, I forget which week, the week McCown got hurt, he hit Coleman for two long touchdowns in the first half of quarter of the game. And before he got hurt, was on the way to a monstrous day. Giants cannot defend the pass like they can defend the run. Tajon Sharp, 3,700, looking good out there. Last couple of weeks, 2 long touchdowns. Tyler Lockett versus Tampa. Lockett's starting to get on the field more. He's healthy. Everyone's going to go to Baldwin. Lockett, 3,600, almost a punt play. Goodwin's the only healthy receiver that the Bills have. So, he's been playing pretty good quarterback. So, 3,600 there. And I think Sterling Shepard, Shepard or whatever, $5,500 with the Giants. But I'd rather pay up for OBJ in that one. Moving to tight end. Greg Olson, $5,800. He's the guy. I think he's Cam Newton's primary target this week. That's cheap for Olson, by the way, $5,800. Jimmy Graham at Tampa, $5,300, but there are a lot more options in Seattle. You have Baldwin, you have Lockett, as we talked about. Now you have Procise. I love Delaney Walker. Mariota is a fade for me this week at Chicago. But you got Delaney Walker would be the guy I play in that game at 4,900. He's always good. But again, Barnage, 3,600 with McCown quarterback. All over that. And, others will be too, but I'm all over that. And you got a punt play with Eli and Cleveland and Ty. Ty is now the sole tight end, $30,000. Tends to score a touchdown. Eli looks for him in the red zone. Another good punt play at tight end on a week where you can just pay up at receiver. And on defense, I'm playing 2 teams. Playing the Ravens at 3,100 against the Bengals, the decimated Bengals. And I'm playing the Titans at 2,800 versus the very banged up Bears. Maybe a rookie quarterback. That's going to be the give the ball to Jordan Howard and see how it goes show. Jeffrey's out. Cutler's either out or hobbled. You got Zach Miller and Howard. That's it. So Tennessee's pretty underrated defense. Love the week. Let's go. It's a week to make some money. I'm feeling very, very good about this week. Keep an eye on all these games. I'm just looking here if there's any last-second notes before we sign off. Keep an eye on us Sunday morning for the Brady Garoppolo update. Specifically, that's the big one. And go play Millionaire Maker with these lineups this week. This is a week to win. Play heavy receiver. Get a Jai in your lineup and go get like Cooks, Cooper, Fitz. Get 3 big game receivers in there. Coleman, you get some room. Have a good one.